Great idea.
I'm mute. I'm talking while
Chair, here, we're ready to go. There you go. All make it sure. Please feel free to eat while we talk. Not a problem. I think the first thing I'm supposed to do is welcome everybody. So welcome. Fine looking group of folks. Thank you for being here today. And I think we have Miss Valerie on the microphone up there. So
Yes, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Good.
where's the party? Next is order. I'll do roll call. Mr. Browning. Yes. Mr. McLean. Here. Ms. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Johnson absent. Dana Jones.
Present.
Me present. Thank you. And the next thing is we need to approve the minutes of the April 6, 23 meeting. So can I have a motion, please?
Approval.
Okay, have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Well, again, I want to thank you each for being here today. I had just a few aviation history thoughts, and one starts with a quote from Mark Twain that I thought was really nice to think about. The air up there in the clouds is very pure and fine, bracing and delicious. And why shouldn't it be? It's the same that the angels breathe. And we love that air up there. The next one says, and let's get one thing straight. There's a big difference between a pilot and an aviator. One is a technician. The other is an artist in love with flight. That's from Mr. Jepson. And then I had a thought from this day in history. This is 2 years before World War I, on June 7th, 1912. There was two gentlemen, one named Lieutenant Roy Kirkland, that was flying a Wright Model B, and a Captain Charles Chandler, the first person to ever fire a machine gun mounted on an aircraft. That was the Lewis gun. It was an air-cooled, gas-operated, magazine-led light machine gun, later produced in calibers of 30-06 and 7.92 by Mauser and Savage Arms, and it could do 500 to 600 rounds per minute. So this is back in 1912 on this day. And then I thought about a quote from a World War I pilot who had 26 aerial victories, but he was most successful and the most decorated United States flying ace of that war. And he said this quote. He said, aviation is proof that given the will capacity to achieve the impossible, by Ed Rickenbacker. So I thought that those were good opening thoughts for us today, and we'll move forward with public comments. Is there any public comments at this time? All right, and we will move on. Well, Pastor.
Before we go there, I would like to introduce a new team member to the body. That'd be great, if possible. Mr. Thomas Casino is our new team member. And, comes to us from Shelter Air and Vanian Air Service background. So, we always talk about professional ramp and really comprehensive and quality services. These are the kind of individuals that been there, done that, that can help us get there. So we're fortunate to get his background in our community. He's also a Marine, so he's a veteran, and I would tell you, aside from his experience and qualifications, with the FBO services, just being a veteran says a lot about who you bring on board as well. So we're excited to have him. He's brought a lot of things to our attention, the short period of time he's been here, and ran him off yet. So I believe he's good so far. So thank you. And I just really want to introduce you to this body, our advisory board.
So have you met everybody here? We just go around the room.
Yeah, I'm Melissa Miller. It's nice to meet you.
So she's an attorney and she serves at the ARC in Palatka. John Larry, I've already met you.
Hey, how you doing, John Clay? That's glad to meet you, sir.
Welcome. Thank you for your service. I'm Dana Jones with the Putnam County Chamber. Hi, Sunny Krantz, City Clerk. Nice to meet you, team member.
And that's our hero over there, Andrew. You know him? He's our hero. He's responsible for $20 million worth of improvements here.
Working for the Pastor Associates, the engineering and architecture firm for the city, that's helped get grant funds.
No, no, come on.
for the year.
Just going to borrow a chair. Here. Right there, man. I'm
Thank
done.
you, everyone.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
go ahead. Should we start with yourself? I went to the wrong location, but I'm here.
Welcome.
This thing, you know, with the phone, they invited me to the wrong place. I am here.
So we'll introduce you in just a minute. Jonathan, you're next.
I've met him before. It's good to see you again.
And you know our mayor.
Robbie Correa, nice to meet you.
So, yes,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know, I was just gonna say Don Browning is long time DOT guy. Brought a lot of value. Wayne runs track.
That's all I've heard.
Mr. Beck, they know there's a change, right? You can hear that. I'm Judd and I'm just a local citizen and a pilot plane there. I think you, oh yes, so now you can introduce yourself.
Oh, really? Okay. So my name is Marcia Cardi. I am the finance director of the city of Quincy. And, oh, wait, perdón. Perdóneme por favor. Yo necesito hablar español for that one. So I am the finance director of the city of Palatka.
There you go.
They're like, forgive me, okay? And that's why I decided to speak Spanish, to let you know how much, okay? But I'm glad to be here. Thank you for allowing me to attend.
So, do you meet everybody around there?
No, but I wouldn't.
Do you know, you don't know that?
No, sir.
So is it? Go ahead.
Melissa Miller.
Yes, sir.
Wayne McLean, I was there the night you were inducted,
Oh. thank
or
you.
whatever that.
Yeah,
No meeting.
yes.
I'm Andrew Molesky with Pastor Associates, the engineer and architect.
Okay, thank you. Yes, of course, of course, of course.
So.
Okay. Mhm.
He's our guy that looks out for us, knows the record, keeps us scrolling. With
Okay,
free money.
yes, so that's like grant funds, infrastructure development.
Yes.
And then this is the advisory board. We work for the city commission. That's
Yes,
what we,
thank you.
and we're just advisory.
I understand.
Is that well enough, sir?
That's well.
Do anything else?
Hey, so what airport were you recently at, or facilities?
Daytona and Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale executive. Toyota hangar down there?
Benny, yeah, it's
I'm sorry?
Benny, yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I got you.
No, welcome, sir. It's nice to have you.
Thanks.
And you can make you a sandwich if you over there, help yourself, please. And we do have food over there if you want to make a sandwich and some real nice cookies.
Thank you.
Yeah, that help a lot. Okay, now we'll carry on. So I think Andrew, maybe you are next on the list.
Sure, thank you, John. So 3 projects to update. First one is that we are finally done and have accepted the T hangar. Has a little bit of a hiccup in the past month, just getting final adjustments of doors. They were not moving efficiently and easily, and we were not going to accept it, talking with Buell almost on a daily basis, got the contractor and his specialty company to come back in, do some final adjustments to the doors, and came out here for several days just to get it done. But doors are working fine. They're all rolling, they're all good and accepted. Buell, that's the last I heard from Matt and Chris, that everything was all right, so.
Yeah, correct. If it's not, I'm still pushing leasing it, so we're even showing it.
Well, if somebody finds something that isn't working right, then we'll get the contractor to come in and do another.
So the guys came out, we went out there a couple of different times. Everything looks well. Everything's operating, a lot of things are pointing out. We went out there. I've been resolved. You know, I've been working on leasing them.
Second project is the rehabilitation of the pavement, the fueling apron and all of the west T hangar area. That pavement is really old. There's a grant request into the FAA right now for, I think the construction value is around $850,000. The FAA is going to pay for most of the project, but they will not pay for the eligibility directly in front of the private large corporate hangars. So the DOT is actually going to kick in that share to pay for the little pieces that the FAA wouldn't. So all that'll be pretty new. We do expect that grant to come back from the FAA probably sometime in August, September at the latest. So all that pavement, and that's the last oldest piece of pavement. Everything on the pavement management program at that point we would consider green because that's the color coding of all the pavements. You used to have greens and yellows and oranges and reds and pinks, and there was even a few that were black, which is failed. That's all gone. Everything is green or yellow now in very good shape. And it takes a long time to get there. It takes literally years and decades, but all the pavement on the airfield is in good shape. Now, when we go in and do rehabilitations in the future, instead of doing full depth reconstructions and fixing everything, we'll just be doing a 2-inch take off the top and repave the top of the mill and overlay. There shouldn't be many full depth reconstructions coming out. But that's coming from the FAA's Airport Improvement Program, the AIP. Third project is Taxiway E project, and that's for the FAA bipartisan infrastructure law, BIL funding. Me and Jewel, Matt, down to Orlando on April 26th. I don't know, Jewel, how to describe it other than a doozy of a meeting. Right. A doozy of a meeting. So we went down there. The FAA has just really reopened themselves to having face-to-face meetings. Like it's only the second one that I've had there in 40. 2-hour, 2.5-hour meeting with
Pushing 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. Had 4 people in the meeting, and sometimes we had 6, 4, or 5, but we had a whole table full of FAA planner, environmental, engineer, assistant manager, manager of the ADO. I mean, we had a whole bunch of people, and we went at it.
We worked it out.
We went at it for a while. We went down a big, long list of every question they had. We had feasibility reports. We had things up on screen, and we went back and forth on every technical detail that they had and every question they had. And then we had a list of follow-up questions. And about a week after, they said, "Thank you for asking all of our questions, answering all of our questions. Good with where you are. So resubmit your application now with a little bit." Has to get the BIL funds to do the environmental preliminary early design to do the full taxiway or taxi, which will come off Moody Road and extend all the way to Charlotte. So we have to do the environmental first. Once they say the environmental is good, then we'll go back in a year and apply for the construction funds. So that's fantastic. But it was a long meeting,
They had to get used to having face-to-face meetings.
I guess.
You wore it down.
So appreciate you will,
Just kept on, you warm down, you
well, no, I mean, one of the big things I appreciate you will, he was giving them the details of operations of the airport, demand for the taxiway, demand for the hangars. Like that was a big part of it was show us what's going on and tell us why this is important, because they might sound strange, but the FAA isn't as interested in building new taxiways as they are fixing old that are already there. It's a whole different category of funding to say we can justify and build something new and truly prove that we need it. But I think we did a good job, the 3 of us that day, and we'll get the first phase funded here shortly. So the taxiway is living very formally now with them, and you'll be getting that grant sometime in the next few months, we would expect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And did he look just like that when you went down there?
He dressed down.
He didn't wear a tie.
It
He
was
didn't wear a
bad.
tie.
He had to dress down.
He didn't wear a tie. He did have a jacket and shirt on. Very nice shirt, but
I'm just
Didn't
taking
wear a
words
tie.
for self-improvement. So.
oh, the FAA Orlando staff are fantastic. They're very supportive. They're a great group of people. They've always been very generous for Palatka. I mean, they're giving you $850,000 for the apron and taxiway project. And that's discretionary funding. That's the most competitive funding in the whole country. You're getting discretionary funding. And again, I know the people there very well. And part of the reason that they continue to give you, in that case, almost $1 million of discretionary funding that they could give to Jacksonville, Gainesville, Flagler, whatever, is that when you get your projects going, you do it, spend it, close it out, and you get it done efficiently. You don't keep things going for a long time. They know if they're sending the city of Palatka funds, they're gonna get used, constructed, and then move on to the next one. So that's a bunch of people are a part of that, a bunch of people at this table, a bunch of people downtown, a bunch of people in the city manager's office, a bunch of people make all that happen. There can't be a glitch anywhere along the way or the whole system shuts down and the administration and finance shuts down and everybody here just keeps it all moving, get the money, spend the money, close it out. That's what the FA wants, so.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Sarah and Associates may have a little to do with that.
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Only, Wayne, that is true, but I would tell you, we work with a lot of clients where we can work very, very hard. There's a glitch in the system where we just can't get a document or can't payment or can't get a grant signed. There's 1,000 little steps, and when one of them breaks down, it doesn't get closed.
Good to hear.
And the city is good at that.
Good to hear.
That's it for me.
Jonathan, I didn't really introduce you in your new role. Thank you, sir, very much for being here
Glad to be
and
here.
for what you're doing for our city. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda. No more questions, I assume. Update on hangar maintenance budget. Mr. Hewlett.
I think it's kind of combo, but I can have it maybe. So a lot of you guys have the history, maintenance and how do we go at trying to address some of the concerns we have. I believe $5 fee has been collected last 18 months. 2 years. Okay, 2 years and I think there was an initial project that was done. Consisted of some painting of the west side hangar facilities. Those monies have been spent. To date, we have about $26,000 that will critical projects that we need to address. And in your packet, since it's not on your screen, I've highlighted a few projects that again needs to be addressed because we have customers paying us rent and they have leaky roofs. And it's a lot cheaper for us to spend the less than 5,000 or whatever case may be out of this fund versus them having to file a claim on damaged aircraft. So, we just want to share with you guys that, these are the kind of critical projects we'll be addressing with fees that was collected. So the first, in addition to the leaky roof, the second actually is the facility next door. Fairly new facility, but for the folks that hang out here at nighttime, you're probably thinking that there was a strobe light on that building over there. Actually, it's a short. And it's a short that was created over time from water damage and those kinds of things. So we got with the electricians, and they're going to come out and address that for us. I think it's about 12 lights, but I think about 4 were causing, short in it. Scroll up a little bit. This is number 3 here. So you're looking at these facilities, and if you drive past this facility and you go to the brand new facility, there's a big difference. So, we don't have a cost to this. We'll be costing that out, but we need to address it. We can't have facilities that we're leasing to customers that just not looking appealing and not in structural sound. So continue to stroll there.
So before you go back, can we go back to that? So how many hangars have this, I mean, I've been bound, but how many do you think need to be painted?
How many hangars need to be painted? So west side, have 4 to 6 that needs to be painted, you know. You have a couple of the nested T hangers like Whiskey 5, I think Whiskey 7 there. You know, the one to the left,
It is.
obviously that is the worst case scenario there. But in addition to this painting, we need to have a better program in place to maintain the doors. You know, water damage, access, just over time, it makes it difficult. So you're our customer, you're paying us rent. You know, we should be able to provide a better facility.
Trim, you know, on a number of them, see the white trim, I guess with the doors, the
Sir,
blue will be okay, and then the white is rusted, just like that, really looks. It's that white part, it seems to have deteriorated quicker
absolutely, absolutely.
than the blue.
Which on Whiskey 7 here,
You can see it.
you can see that it.
The blue actually looks pretty decent, but that white is pretty rough.
So is the game plan gonna take the money you have in the maintenance account and paint them as you can once you get RFQs back on? What's the game plan?
Yes, but I'll be more specific with you. The game plan is for us to take that pot that we've collected and address not just painting. We need to address the electrical, we need to address the leaky roof. Yeah. But painting will be part of it.
I meant painting, but general maintenance.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And then that's doors, you know, greasing the doors and getting the doors conditioned. So and it's a much bigger pot that's needed. And thankfully we got a new finance director on board.
Pressure.
That's going to be friends here. But I tell you, you know, we have a unique setup here, a unique set of customers. We have about 81, the new units coming online, and that's pretty significant, you know. So we need to make sure these facilities are acceptable, you know. Sorry.
So we had talked to the, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so we had talked to the previous city manager about, was there any dollars, you know, like we spent X amount of dollars, was there any in reserves or any in budget? We could augment how much we're spending from the airport to address some of these long-term maintenance issues, which I'm so glad you're bringing up, really important. And so I would like to see if we could go and revisit that again, as Jonathan would look, and if there's no money available, so be it.
Actually would like to add to that right now.
Okay, please.
So, Ms. Carty came on board a couple weeks ago, and, one of the things that we've discussed doing as part of the budget cycle this year is being a little bit more deliberate in communicating to the commission, the public, and the boards how far off adequately funding capital outlay we are. So you all are businessmen, businesswomen, you understand that when you have an asset, you appreciate it. You have to set aside that depreciation amount every single year, plus some expected increase for inflation to replace that asset in the future, unless you plan on just running it into the ground and not replacing it. So we have those numbers, and we plan on communicating to everybody in a simple bar chart how far off we are. To answer your question, there is no money in the airport fund and reserves that could be allocated back, basically because there's still a general fund transfer every year to balance the books. This year is a good year. Debt service rolls off. So if we continue to increase the hangar rates to compete with market, we continue to offer a marketable product, which I believe Yul is talking about right now, making these necessary improvements, you should be able to close that gap over a number of years. 5, 10, 75 years, we don't know, but there's that first step that needs to happen. So we're planning on having that information for you shortly so that you can take a step in the right direction.
This would, yeah, I was gonna say, it's getting pretty close. You know, the airport makes a lot of money. I mean, we don't get the $25, we get, the airport is all $340 from each hangars. And it's always been trying to pay off, but we're just about paid off. And when, that's $175,000 a year that the city has been taken out of this. So that once it's paid off, if the city didn't take the money that it made, we could maybe allocate some of that to do the maintenance. I mean, because let's face it, if you didn't have, if you weren't taking that out every year, we would have so much money over the last, well, you would have, what do we pay off, $2 million, so you would have $2 million to do it. So we really are moving towards this a profit center instead of a negative center.
You are correct. And the balance will have to be struck by the commission because they're obviously going to be looking at all assets across the board, streets, stormwater.
Garbage truck, or whatever, profit
Yes.
centers. That's,
But there is an opportunity with the debt service rolling off in multiple funds this year. And ad valorem tax holding steady. So I think we're in a good position as long as everybody supports the idea that we need to adequately fund capital outlay or depreciation, whatever you want to call it. And I think some positive things will come about next year.
is that an open forum when that's discussed? But, okay.
It'll be at this board meeting. We'll share that information with you and as well as the public budget workshops. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I? Yeah, so you think that having Judge Dare to speak about this, the importance to this committee here, with you know, I'll volunteer him to be there to do that. You know,
skill.
and I know I got to get on my soapbox here in a minute, and I'll be quiet. So, you know, there's 10 things that a company looks at when they're coming into a community relocate. And Dana knows this is better than me, but you know, airport's on there. And I'm very proud to take people through here and show them our airports here, and especially this beautiful building here. But I just think we just got to keep our assets up to standard for our customers as well as the outside public coming in. But it's very important first impression for a community, especially with the planes we've got flying in now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a fantastic information because if folks only knew what pulled in and out of here. And, you know, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, that kind of customer is coming here for a reason. And it's not necessarily just for the end of the trip destination. It's Palatka is a very low view airport to operate out of. They don't have paparazzi and everybody that's sitting at the fence trying to monitor them. So they come in, do their thing for a couple of hours, or they come in hours and they ease out of here. If you speak to all of them, you know, most of them would say that's the appeal. You know, first class facility, first class experience, you know, and they appreciate that. This rate typically is some folks' first impression on Palatka. I'm telling you, they come from California, they come from up north, and when they walk through the door, they see Miss Sophia sitting over there, and they hear that boy. Wow. And we've had customers come back and say, it's different. You know, we like that. We really like this. So that's perfect insight to the world we live in.
Judge, be happy to be there.
Okay.
I'm seeing a strength here. Right? I'm seeing
What?
a strength here.
Oh,
Your strength is getting other people involved in doing things.
he does a good job.
He does.
Do you have any other
No, I was there. I just,
Okay.
I'll go on with John's comments on it.
city manager?
Nothing further to add.
So city manager's statement is kind of good segue into the next item. So hangar rates, evaluation, looking at where like a lie within, say, a 50-mile radius. Just want to give you guys a heads up. Really looking into this. We have a pretty good idea. We're not trying to break the backs of our customers, but we want to make sure that the rates here are reasonable. And improving facilities, we've got to figure out different sources, generate those resources on. So we are evaluating them. I know we'll be coming back to the body and sharing where we are, some of the recommendations.
Just one thing I'd ask you to look at, you gotta remember, look at the rates. You want to pay more and go to St. Augustine, you got it. You got everything in the world there, side to tonight's building. And we want to keep the people, we just want too much, too quick. Don't, because it can go the other direction too. And, because everybody's building, everybody's adding facilities all over, and I would caution raising too much. We've done it. Yeah, we have a lot of local people here, a lot of people that are doing it. If you want to change that concept, we surely can. But other things that can make that better, meaning improvement, some others that we may have a chance to talk about here in a minute, will make that feasible. Just be careful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, again, it's we have to be sensitive to our customers. We have a good base here. We want to make sure that we keep them. So I appreciate that.
Well, I heard the stat last week. I think your competing airport is probably St. Augustine. I think their T-hangar waiting right now is 6 years.
Wow.
6 years.
Wow.
It's 265 people.
I would say to you that 200. I always seem like I always present the other side because risk. The wait list here at 200, we don't have all bars. A lot of those people come in, they don't put their name on the list, and they end up going somewhere.
I know some of them are definitely on your list too.
I know, and I'm
They're on both.
saying same thing. The people that go in there get a hand pretty quick, so it. So this may be 600. But I'm not gonna name it, just when they got a hand. Okay? I don't know what happened to the other 600 that was in front of him, but I just caution when we look at these numbers. It's like how many flights do people try to throw out all kind of numbers in there. A lot of them you surely wouldn't want to count. But just give me we need to look at both. Hard for me to think St. Augustine is like we've got a lot going there.
Yeah, I think they did that little side, in on the list,
They're doing it, they get more money. Part of it is money. They got a bigger list. Start to this, we gotta have.
I had a gentleman come in, was it last week or week before you all?
That's you.
And he said, listen, I'd like to get on this hangar list and I understand there's an application. And I said, yes. And he said, how long are we looking at? And I said, sir, there's no way we can know. But we're guessing maybe a year and a half, 2 years, maybe. And he's like, if I pay double, can I get one now? He said, I will pay a year in advance. He said, I will pay. I'll pay double a year in advance. And I'm like, well, thank you. But I don't think I can do that. That would
That's how they
be,
do it in St. Augustine.
that would be problematic, sir. Sorry.
Our reality.
It is.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
I'm looking at the jet. So my question is, in April, there was 1,073 gallons so from there, like 2,992. I just have a question. Is this for friend? Is this quality? Does it
It's
Is it gonna go up continuously?
Well, yeah, we have our
What's
peaks.
going on?
We have our peaks. So for jet, So for jets, there are months we are hammered. We get folks in every week. And all of a sudden, depending upon time of the year, folks
It
go
goes
away.
back down.
If I saw that type of change
Mhm.
in avgas, then I would really be concerned. Avgas customer, which is your aircraft owner, GA customer, are probably most consistent in this area, so.
Okay.
But, April I can come up with a number of different factors that may have caused that.
Right.
But I think when as we continue to work closer together,
It was COVID, everything.
I will be able to show you ran that across a 12-month period,
Mhm.
what events occurred, whether
Okay, so
if it is in the region,
February,
there's different factors
events like that.
that is going to affect that.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was thinking, that there were activities.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you that I'm learning because I'm new to this industry, but one of the things that I noticed and was unaware of was that when they have events like, the races in Daytona or whatever in Gainesville,
Right.
or any of these activities in there, I was told by customers that they prefer to come here and then drive.
Right.
Because they like this facility, they like the area, and I'm sure that money's a factor as well, but that there was more than one. There were several who said, oh, we fly in here, but we're gonna drive. And I can tell you, Enterprise does a really good business during those events too, because we've got a little box we keep all their keys in.
I seem to be presenting the opposite. Remember, we are in a controlled field. The guy flies in from New York, wants to land, he rolls in here and lands. You go into Daytona, you're in the flight plan, you're gonna route you around depending on the amount of traffic, when the build's doing. You're gonna be all over, then you land, you gotta, there's a lot of things you like, which is an advantage.
Yes,
And, but when you compare,
Yeah.
why do they do it? They do it because we're convenient, easy.
Howard is
Yeah.
convenient.
It's getting harder and harder going to these airports.
mhm,
They're busy and if it's weather,
right.
you're gonna get circling and this is real asset
Yes,
that we have. Like his, and things like all, we can get more, that's what we want. We got a big jet wants to come in and do his thing.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. We
That'll
don't
take
love
me
that.
that filling up.
No.
well, and I take pictures of most of them. I ask permission if I see them, I ask permission. But I don't post them often, and I always, if I do, I was instructed, block the tail number. And so I do have a bit of a record,
That's right.
just because my grandson is a pilot. He worked here before. And so I'll take a picture and I'll say, look who stopped by today. Look at that little jet. And he's like, Grandma, don't ever say little and jet in the same sentence. That is such an unacceptable thing.
Thanks for that.
So, the last couple of months, have been well. Hangar revenues, are consistent. We expect an increase in hangar revenues, bringing the 6 online. Out of the 6 units, 2 are secured already. I have a few that I'm working with for the balance of the units. Now, with the units, the new units being taken over, some of the existing units are available. Also, we had a guy that he was here for a number of years and sold his aircraft years ago. But doing my hangar inspection, I noticed that kept the hangar and the contents were purely household. So he gave up the hangar finally. So, that comes online. I think it's on the west side over here. So, we're gonna have some hangars coming available, but we also got people that we're working with to fill them. So there shouldn't be any breaks. So July billing that Ms. Sophia sent out, should see some
And those for.
The smaller is $400 per month, and the larger end units, $600. Speaking of hanger lists, just for this body, I will give you real time insight. Okay. When we meet last week, I was telling you about the response, and so we have a hanger list here, the infamous hanger list, I call it, because I've had some interesting conversations. So I've been dealing with people from 2018. Hey, how you doing? I'm cool, and like, man, John, you was like, nah. Hangers and it's amazing how things in folks' lives change. Oh, I saw that crap, but thank you. Someone get a chuckle out of it, but I worked my way through it. So, and I'm from 2018 to 2020. I think I've connected with probably 20 folks. Most are saying no, thanks. A lot of that is they've been on there for so long. The need is just not there. But fortunately for us, we when we first came on board here, established a leasing policy. It also included how we handle the hanger waiting list, which is a plus for us because it keeps us out of a mess. So if I call someone, if they're not interested at the time, they're not necessarily booted off the list. You can stay on the list, but you go to the bottom of the list. If we go back out, if they want to stay on the list, if we come back around to those folks the second time and they decline the offer, we just remove them from the list. So that there's some things in place to help clean it up because it can become problematic. And everything is date driven, and I think it's working well. So I'm excited about getting everything leased out. I'm also excited about the projects that's going to kick off capital projects. Or at this point, revenue driven. To be frank with you, I think FDOT was very pleased with that. We need to get those revenues in order. So,
Do you want to talk about this?
last but certainly not least, we're in the season. Hurricane storms, but such. So District 2 airports met over at FDOT offices, and it's an annual prep meeting, essentially just kind of reconnecting, sharing information, what to expect upcoming season. We participate. We are a network, that here for each other. And to be frank with you, this is just District 2. I think 7 districts in the state here. So, one of the key takeaways is, hey, if you're not impacted by the storm, expect to support somebody that's impacted. So that making sense of military operations, that making sense of others. So really good meeting, and we're connected. Thank you.
I had one topic that we talked about before that I would like to come in place, and that is like Food Truck Friday once a month, and it seems to work pretty good at other airports, and I think it's something we took away the air show went away, and we've really given nothing in its place to offer. And I think if we could consider a recommendation of a food truck Friday, it doesn't have to be Friday, but I know another airport that has quite a few around us that are doing things like that. And John, you got me in the wrong train.
There you go.
like that. Good job.
Could knock off a nickel a gallon, to everybody flying in that day or something. And then anybody wants to drive it could drive in. And I think if we leaned on, his group of people and the Roundtree group of people and all the tenants here, that we could have a pretty, and then all of us could drive in that live here. And we could have a fun little thing that could grow into be an amazing little event. That could at least put us back in that mode of entertainment or social gathering. So I don't know whether you all have any thoughts on that.
Good idea.
It's a good idea. It also opens the community up to view the airport. A lot of people aren't even, have not been on the property. So they recognize it as important as well to the community.
That's very true. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking of the group of.
I mean, if you market it, social media, all those places that we do, I mean, you can get a lot of people like food trucks, and it would be an opportunity to kind of, not an open house, but for people to see the airport, now the air shows and all.
So you would get calls consistently about it, wanting to know what the dates are, and they always want to know, oh, what happened?
Oh, the air show, yeah, air show, yeah.
Yeah, the fly-in, we get lots of.
And Andrew, you could be our guest speaker at the first one,
If I may be at a food truck, I'm just like everyone else. I want to hang out at the food truck and maybe hear a little music that day. Like that, so.
Buffalo One will do it, I'm sure. Ask Buffalo One, give them a notice.
A food truck or the music or both.
I'm talking about Buffalo about music.
Music, okay.
Volunteers a lot. We
Okay.
charge you nominally.
All right. Well, do y'all have any suggestions? I mean, can it just be the third Friday of every month or something?
Leave that up to you guys.
Well,
You.
So I would like to ask if I like the idea. Everyone has something going on. Let us go back and look at a couple of options here.
Yeah, I think they
because-
cost money to get them to come. You have
Yeah,
to guarantee a certain number of meals as
Right.
well. They're not all profitable, just some.
well, but I think for
They
us,
really
we
are.
have a unique opportunity. We have established, well-attended events where we don't even close the airport. But they still have the event here. So around Canopy, have about 2 or 3 events every year. Now, again, during that time, we don't close the airport. But if we teamed up with them and said, okay, on this particular day, we're doing the Round Canopy / airport appreciation event. It may be an easier lift for us because this infrastructure is already in place. When they show up, we know that RVs are going to be parked over there and they're going to be doing the Huey rides and the 47 is going to be coming in, dropping them off. And, again, we can probably partner up with them, put something in place. In terms of food trucks, it's 2 different things here. The annual events, I think, are easier lift. Food trucks, I don't have a problem with them. I can reach out, find out what does it take for them to come out here, because I do know, some have said, hey, how much you gonna pay me?
Right.
And if it's a matter of pushing out, hey, they're here, we should be, let us look into the food truck piece. But before you guys leave today, though, we really are serious about connecting with an existing event that's happening here. So,
Let me know if you need some help with Brown Canopy. We also partner with them through the Church Development Council
Okay,
as well,
great.
work with them a lot.
yeah, so we just need to, kind of scrub it. And, they have their group and we shut the airport down for that period of time and just have that event. It's worth a difference, I'm sure. And I'll probably sleep better too, because having the airport open while they're here is kind of tough. So just a thought, that then, let your airport manager come back to you with some.
All right, well, we're actually a few minutes early, so, okay, yes.
Okay. To kind of, most of you know anyway, we've been working for, I guess, the last 6 months at least on getting some money in the budget to do some work at the airport. The money, the project got put in at the last second. It did not go in. A House did not have it, the Senate had it. But in negotiation, the House finally accepted the Senate's bill, which means there's only, I think, probably 2 airports. The next Senate president's down there, the airport where he is, and this one, they're gonna qualify. And the only catch is 2 things. Number one, the governor hasn't signed the budget yet. He is going to because it's in the transportation bill. But in the transportation bill, and thank you for working, everybody that kept quiet, because there's a lot of pushing and pulling on money in the budget, and everybody's stayed tuned, and we stayed together. We have got to now, once he signs it, then the secretary is going to be here. I put him off twice. We're going to give him a pitch to do it out of his budget. 2 things can happen. Either he's going to give us money out of his budget, or we're going to have it in the point going into January. I feel very confident. It's going to be 10 million a year. That's what it's going to be. And it's only going to be, might even be 20. It's only 2 airports right now. Isn't that correct? They're really
Small number, very small number.
very, very few airports to qualify for the thing. So we are going to, they're aware of it. They're aware that there's 2 airports. And so we can get DOT to do it, or if not, we will definitely get it in January, the new, because they go in, next year they go early. They'll start working on it in December, maybe December. But they're going early in next year. So really, thank you. It's going to be a bunch of money, and that is for the extension of the runway. And that's really all that is. It's not for anything else. It's going to be, and I think you came up with 10 million. Part of it's already in the 5-year work program. If we get this, man, this airport or ring will be the same length basically as St. Augustine. So the same length as St. Augustine. Everything.
And pretty much Gainesville.
That's right. We're gonna be big. So you think about the opportunities, it's taken a lot of work, and I really appreciate, I can only do every so much kind of behind the scenes. And Bobby Payne got on board. He helped us because he had 40 bills he was doing. And right at the end, and we pressed him hard to help us with this one, and he did. So congratulations. It made it through. The governor will sign it, I'm quite sure. And we just got talking to them. That's good deal. So if that money is allocated, John, is it allocated over time or is it allocated in one lump sum? Okay. There was 2 bills. The one that passed, which is the one that did not pass through the House, not through the Senate, gave them, was it 20 million a year, which would have given us 10 million a year. Okay. That was reoccurring funds. However, what they did was they put it in the DOT's budget, which means that the secretaries got to take 10 million from somewhere else, it's a big budget, so it's not a lot of money. So the first thing you have to do is put it in place. Legislature agrees that these airports, these 2 or 3 airports, need to be expanded. They've agreed to that, and they put it in the bill, and the governor will sign it. I'm quite sure he has not signed it. Was that answer? Not really. We get $13 billion.
Probably in phase.
Out of the $13 million, we got to come out with 10 million. So we have to do our part on the 10 million. We don't have to do anything. So hang tight. We're going to have the secretary here. It's an internal deal with DOT. There's nothing we can do.
So
We're going to do it.
It is written right now, only to rural airports, which means that every airport that would be able to apply, rural airport without commercial service. So by definition, if you're a rural airport, you're eligible for the READY program, which is 100% state funding.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a good,
Might have been.
maybe I didn't, go ahead and explain it more if you want to.
Yes, and
It is so good. I just,
yeah,
we were holding our breath for the last.
I read the law as a recurring, so that it will be an annual. Typically lists the addressing capacity projects with capacity, which means some of the demand requirements that the DOT and the FA would justify the need on your existing facility. By using the words capacity, that means it's understood that you're trying to do something additional. And expecting that demand that's very difficult to justify, because a plane can't come here because it can't come here. We know that. Plane that needs 7,000 feet doesn't land on 6,000. Now we're allowed to say, you increase the capacity of the airport so that the planes that need 7,000.
It's an economic development, part of the plan to help in economic development. And most of the airports like it, when you looked at them, they couldn't qualify. The way they wrote it was specifically to pick up the airport and another airport. So thank you, the bill was written a certain way. And I'm excited. He's known it, he's helped, everybody's helped. Thank you. We did, one of the fears was, and I'll shut up, was that you start doing it, and people say, well, I really want to do this. I want to make it hangers. I want to make it for this. Well, we did that. And we find ourselves out in the cold on this, because this was the incoming Senate president's personal deal. He's not here yet, but that's why I'm saying he'd be damn sure it's going to get funded. Okay. That's his personal deal. We managed to change it a little bit where we qualified to. Thank you. So wonderful. That's good. We'll have it. We're going to get that one. That's something we've all wanted to do. And thank goodness, if you recall, about 2 years ago, we argued in here, do we put it, we put it in there. Get it in there.
They're gonna be 75.
I forgot.
It's either gonna be some,
Yeah, there's a.
help is gonna be 7,500.
Okay.
Yeah, they have moved the power line. I mean, it's quite a project. And they all ask you, power line there. I mean, you look at the size of the DOT budget. This is nothing. Okay, thanks, Andrew. He's done a really good job. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, John. Very, very we could be involved. Fought that battle for a while. Okay, we are just a few minutes over, so thank y'all very, very much. I guess I need a motion for adjournment. Motion to adjourn, Chairman. Second. On favor, say aye. See y'all next month. And please get a sandwich. Now, there you go. Or-